Hi, I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Denis Kudla.
I'm Evgeny Donskoy.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I'm Peter Torebko, and you're listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're finally bringing you another podcast. I'm here. I've had to come into work after my move, and BT decided not to turn up to fit the internet. So, yeah, here I am in the office. Got a meeting room, and doing a live.
Mate, that's not the truth. You just wanted to get back to work.
Couldn't be further from the truth. How's it going over your end?
Yeah, not too bad, man. I think I've got a better solution now for my internet, so that should be good. And I'm excited to sort of get stuck into all the tennis because there's been so much going on. Since the last time we did it, the last podcast we did was on the draw. And I think since then we've had 2 Challenger finals, we've had a Hamburg final, and then obviously Roland Garros right now. And it's all sort of happening at once, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. They're all overlapping. I've never seen this before. You just had like the Hamburg final was finishing on the same day that the French Open was starting. It's just bizarre. You've never seen this in the tennis world before, but they're somehow making it work. I don't know how, but they are. But let's get stuck into it. Should we have a look over at the one that we were most excited about? Sad we couldn't cover it. Which was that Challenger over in Forli in Italy, which was by, obviously Lorenzo Musetti and Thiago Monteiro.
Mate, this is one we would 100% have done a live watch-along for. We just wasn't able to this time, but in the future, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of Musetti finals. Well, I'm hoping so anyway. This one lived up to the bill. He was incredible. He played really well. I was watching the match, and the atmosphere seemed really good as well. Like, obviously, the Italian home crowd, everyone was getting pumped for him. And he's got a big backing already, this guy. I feel a bit sorry for Monteiro because I thought he played a pretty faultless match, to be honest.
It's close to.
There's not much more he could have done, really. Well, you could say he could have won it. That would have been better. But aside from winning it, like, he did his best. He just tried to stay in there with Musetti. It was relatively even contest, but Musetti just had that edge on the big points and managed to take it in the end in 2 tie breaks. Yeah,
I mean, it was a very, very entertaining match, I have to say. Musetti flourishes in front of the home crowd, it seems. He likes that, playing in front of the Italian faithful. And, Monteiro, we know how good he is. We know that he's one of those amazing clay court players. He's so good in the Challengers. Can he step up into the ATP and do as well? I think so. I still think that he's not an old player. He's 26. So,
mate, we've seen it before. He's played some really top players and been right in the battle. He's just not been able to get it over the line. But just on Musetti, really, this is just what an achievement. What a few month it's been for him. Obviously, ATP Rome went brilliant for him. Played an amazing tournament there. It was a bit unlucky, really, in terms of I think he was just overplayed and just got a bit fatigued, really, when it come to Dominic Koepfer. But he's an informed man as well. We've seen that already in Roland Garros. He started off firing. So, fair play to him. He's had a brilliant thing. Obviously, that's now his first Challenger title and first of many for me. I don't think he's going to be in the Challengers for too much longer, even. I think he's going to be bypassing that. He's going straight for the ATP 250s, 500s.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wouldn't be surprised to see him ply his trade and just try and grab a couple more Challenger titles on clay. But... or even maybe if he wants to improve his hard court game, might even be worth doing a couple of hard court challenges. But we've seen how well he played.
Mate, he can do it on the hard court. He won, Australian Open Juniors. So he's got it in his locker for sure.
And obviously, you've seen he beat Stan Wawrinka. He beat Kei Nishikori. Came up short against Koepfer, but Koepfer was in the form of his life. Took Djokovic to 3 sets, so not a bad tournament. And he's on the map now for everybody. And I think it can only get better from here now. But the spotlight is definitely on him now, so you can't slip up.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about with Kei Nishikori and Stan Wawrinka, so we'll just we'll
Yeah, for
hold
sure.
fire with that for the moment. Let's go on to the other challenger and one we both predicted. That was in, was it Romania? Was it?
I believe it was
I
in.
think
Yeah,
so.
it was.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce the name of it, unfortunately, because not very good in these pronunciations. Let me just find it. It was in
Orly.
Sibiu.
Oh,
Sibiu.
Sibiu. That's it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, like we said, there was this great player at the moment who's in a scintillating form, which is Huesler, Mark Andrea Huesler.
Wait, we both called it early on, early doors in the tournament. We both looked at the draw. We saw Huesler, and his name just stuck out to us. Obviously, beating Fanini recently, Rusevori, some other big names as well. And yeah, he's an impressive player. Look, you can see here he won 2-0 in the final against Echeverry. And that last set, he bageled him, yeah.
That's it. It's just so promising. I mean, he wasn't really even on the radar for me pretty much until coming out of this COVID thing. And since he's hit the courts again, he seems to be really good. Like, and especially good to see another Swiss player who's suddenly come from nowhere. What it seems. We obviously have Laxonen, we've got Wawrinka, obviously Federer. But yeah, great to see another player who's sort of making his mark now, and that's in the challenger scene. Hopefully, we get to see him in some ATP events if he continues that type of form.
Yeah. So stay tuned for him because he looks like a man in form, a bit like that Aslan Karatsev. And I'm not sure. Do you know if he got a lucky loser into the Roland Garros in the end?
Karatsev, I'm not sure.
We'll have a look at that in a minute.
I'll bring up the draw.
It's fine. We'll have to look now. Let's just move on to the French Open because I'm sure a lot of you want to be finding out about that.
Do you want to touch on? Sorry to interrupt. Do you want to touch on quickly the final? Obviously, we had the ATP final between Rublev and Tsitsipas.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm skipping that one, mate. It's just so mental that Hamburg's happening. It happened at the same time.
Yeah, and, I know, it's just crazy.
Yeah, fair play to Rublev. Incredible. What a final from him. He played some scintillating tennis. Both of them did, actually. I thought the quality was really high. And I don't know, it just seemed to me like the conditions in Germany seem a lot better than they are in France right now. Maybe because obviously there's playing the final. It looked a bit closed in, but even Philip Chatrier court just wasn't the same. Like, it just looks, in France right now, it looks a bit torrid, not going to lie.
Slow. Yeah. Is the word. Yeah, I mean, if you bring up the final there, just between those two, it was, for me, tennis of the highest standard. I thought it was great to see Stefanos Tsitsipas back into a good form again and get into a final. But we did see, I think there's still a mental thing going on there because he had the break. He was serving for the match in the third set there at 5-4, and his head went again. He got 3 break points against him again, lost 3 games on the bounce there, and lost the match. He's got to be very, very disappointed that he didn't win that title there, I have to say.
Yeah, no, I think they both played a really good match. I think it was very evenly contested. It's a bit disappointing, obviously, for Tsitsipas. He wasn't able to just sort of hold on right at the death there, but we've seen it a few times now recently with him, and it probably is playing a part in, like, there's something in his head not quite there. And Rublev is someone who is relatively strong up there, and we've seen that with his titles this year. Obviously, only Novak Djokovic has won more titles than Rublev this year.
Third one, isn't it, this year?
Yeah. So he's a man in form, mate. And I think even ATP matches, he's the second on the list there as well, winning the second most matches. Surprisingly, Gal Monfils was still quite high up there, and he's not really bounced back very well since his comeback. But I think he's playing later against Bublik, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely will be interesting. Thanks to some of the guys in the comments coming in. We got John there saying that the conditions are playing slow. Definitely playing very slow. Yeah, there at the French Open, and we've got Jovan there in there saying Cilic. Oh, right. There's actually a match going on right now.
Yeah.
Maran Cilic is playing Dominic Thiem right now, obviously. Yeah, and there's a break apparently for Cilic in this third set.
Yeah, but no, John, we're going to go on to what we think about the conditions in Roland Garros. We've got that later on in the podcast because there's a lot to talk about there. But there's a good point you make about Rublev in the quarterfinals. We agree with that for sure. Well, I do anyway. I think he's going to go deep in this tournament.
Interesting. This next question from Francisco: Sinner, Alcaraz, or Musetti in 2 years? Who is going to be the best? And that is a very, very good question. Looking at their current form, I would go with Sinner, to be honest, just based upon his
That's a bit of a
body.
safe bet, mate.
Yeah,
That's a
well,
safe
just based
bet.
upon the fact he's already been playing top level ATP, and he looked so good yesterday when he played against Goffin. I mean, he bageled Goffin in one of those sets, and he was playing. I think the conditions suited him. I'm not going to lie. I think these
It really
conditions
did, yeah.
do suit players who can hit winners, and he's able to hit hard from the back of the court, and it shows that these players. And like we'll go on again, and when we talk about Stan Murray, the players who can't hit the winners as much, they're struggling out there. And I think that was the case for Goffin, and he came up a cropper.
No, Goffin's pretty good at that. I don't think it's really so much there. I just think it's the conditions being the way they are. It's just very tricky for certain players. And I think someone who would thrive on this is a Schwartzman. This is like the perfect conditions for him. And he come out afterwards saying he loves it the way it is. This is just perfect for him. And he's come off flying. But just for me to answer that question, for me, I would go for Alcaraz. And the reason for that is I think he's got the highest ceiling in terms of he's the youngest. And what he's doing already at the age he's at is like ridiculously impressive. So a few years, he's going to obviously mature a lot more, grow more into his body. And it's a massive gamble, mate. But I just feel like Alcaraz could achieve a lot of brilliant things in the game of tennis.
He's the one I think I'd like to see actually make that step and do well earlier, just because I think that his potential is much greater than the other two. I think he does have greater potential. I just want him to. I hope he gets to realize it within the next 2 years. But he is still so young. Don't forget, in 2 years he's going to be 19. So he's not even going to be at his peak then. You might even see.
Yeah, exactly. But it'll grow. Like, it's a big transition. You know what it's like when you're 16. You're a bit lank, like things not really matured. Your body's not really grown to its full yet.
Exactly.
And you'd see a lot of transition from, say, 17 to 19. Like a lot of changes will happen to your body, and I think that will only help him. From a physical element.
I personally don't think that we will see the same type of thing that we saw with, like, say, a Rafa when they come through at 17. I think the standard of tennis now across the board is so high. That I think for a player of 17 to go and win a Grand Slam now is close to impossible. If you're going to try and get past all those players and the level of tennis there is, I don't think that will be achieved for a very, very long time.
Mate, I'd have to agree with you. Exactly. I don't think it will either.
I think that the standard of tennis that it was before wasn't as high as it was now. So when you got a superstar like someone like Rafa or Novak, people like that coming through, they stood out like a sore thumb, and they were able to actually take some big scalps and just run through a tournament. But I don't see what you've seen. Alcaraz didn't even make it through the qualifying in this tour. So that goes to show how.
Yeah, but mate, he didn't make it. But it was a bit. He had 2 match points, 40-15 on his thing. It was a bit of a fluff lines more than anything. I don't think it wasn't because of his ability that he didn't make it.
No, he's definitely got the ability, but that's what I mean.
He's massively bottled it.
To have the mental edge, like imagine someone like Rafa at that age was still so mentally strong, even at 17. So,
yeah, but like you say, maybe with all the other like players, like the general level wasn't as high.
No, exactly, and that's the main problem. So they're going to be fighting loads of other hungry youngsters trying to obviously get into those ATP events, get into the Grand Slams, all of that. And it's just stiff competition. I can't wait to see. I hope they can do it. I hope the level just keeps going up and up and up. And we used to see the most amazing sports stars or tennis stars that you've ever seen. We're going to be seeing the most crazy points I think you've ever seen. You're going to see shots you've never seen before. You're going to see people just pulling out tricks like you've never seen before. I think that's what the future holds. We just need this next breed to just get to that next level in their careers. That's all.
Mate, talking about new shots, there's been a lot of controversy at the moment with the underarm serve. It's back. Like there's a lot of players now using it, and it's working very effectively. I think Bublik's really mastered it. I know he did a few aces against Garin, and it seemed to be really working. Garin's someone obviously very much clay court, standing off the baseline, always very deep. and he was just caught off guard. I think it happened maybe once or twice. So I've
Yeah.
seen there's other players been doing it as well. I forget who they were now. But it seems to be that the underarm service is a strategy players are now adopting. It's created a lot of chaos on Twitter. A lot of people hating on it. Other people saying it's brilliant.
What? But
And it's part of the rules, mate. So just use it, like utilize it.
yeah, exactly.
Would we ever see someone like a Roger Federer or a Djokovic or even a Nadal using the underarm serve? I very much doubt it. I think they're too traditional.
Yeah, they are. And that's what I mean. This is the new breed of tennis, though. But I was reading some of those comments after that match he did with all those ace underarm serves public, and there was a lot of controversy. But then there was some very valid points as well. There was people saying, when are people going to start using this against Dominic Thiem? And that's what I was saying.
Yeah, to be fair, I agree. You've been right for a long time about this. You've always suggested against Dominic Thiem specifically, someone who is always so deep, just throw in a few underarm serves, catch him off guard,
keep him honest.
If you can perfect it, like with the nice level of spin just above the net, it's virtually very difficult for Thiem to get much on it. If he does, he's only going to be parrying it back for potentially you then to be at the net just to finish it off quite easily. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's a brilliant tactic. I hate all these people just getting against it because that is the rules. Just use the rules and just develop with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's just the game hasn't developed into this. I mean, people might see it as a strange tactic, but if you have a tactic in any other sport that will work to your advantage, people will use it. It's not a matter of breaking the rules. You're just doing something within the rules that they're just traditionalists that don't like it. It's the old fans. People just think it's like ruining the sport. I just think it makes it much
people are saying
more
it's disrespectful. I don't understand how it's disrespectful.
You're
respecting your opponent. If anything, if you're saying that it's disrespecting them and it should make it easier for the opponent then to hit a winner back. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it is though. I've seen underarm serves go horribly wrong. I've seen Kyrgios do a few and it wasn't really the right time to be doing one. And the opponent's just literally just got there and just whacked one the other side and then straight winner.
It's a risk though. It's a very, very big risk to hit.
But that's what sport is, isn't it? Sport is a risk. You make risks and sometimes you get rewarded, other times you don't.
So you tell me, this is a good analogy, I think. I just sort of thought of it. If you go to take a penalty in football, if you run up to the ball and about to boot it and then just fake and do one of those little dinks where the goalkeeper dives and it just drops over the line.
A Peneka.
Yeah, is that disrespectful? No, everyone thinks you're a genius that you just did that and had the audacity to do it because that takes like balls to do stuff like that because you're in the biggest stage. You could make a complete arse of yourself, but if you do it and pull it off, you should be praised because you had the confidence and the ability to pull it off. But
then if I look at it the other way as well, if the keeper stands down the middle and saves it and catches it, then you should be open to criticism.
Exactly.
In terms of saying, well, you messed up, mate. Why don't you just do a normal penalty?
Exactly.
But then you can miss normal penalties as well. So that's the way it is. It's the same with the serve. Sometimes it will work out, other times it won't. That's the beauty of the sport. And I don't know if you want to answer this question. It's quite an interesting one from John Narty. He wants us to rank these talents in order of ceiling. So Shapo, Rublev, Tsitsipas, Sinner, Zverev.
Well, who's got the highest ceiling of potential?
Well, looking at them, the oldest ones are probably Tsitsipas and Zverev. No, Tsitsipas is quite young. They're all quite young, aren't they? They're all probably of similar age. Yeah. I feel like Zverev's been around for so long, but that's only because he started at such a young age.
I think he's 23. Is he 23 or 24?
Yeah, it's difficult to know. Like, I feel when you're judging a player's ceiling, you've got to look at their age. And you've got to look at where they can potentially reach, and that's why it's a bit of a tricky question. But off the top of my head, I would say, I genuinely do think. I think Rublev, you can't really ignore him. Like he's just someone. The way he started this year, if he progresses like he has done this year, he's someone you can't ignore. So I would be reluctant not to put him top, to be honest. I know it sounds a bit bizarre and it's like maybe a bit of a heat at the moment with the fact that he's just won a tournament. Maybe if you asked me a few months ago, I'd have probably said Tsitsipas. I'd probably put Shapo bottom. No, I'd probably put I probably put Sinner bottom. I like Sinner. I just don't see him ever really amounting to like the heights. I know that's a bit. He's such a young guy. He could do. I'm probably going to be vastly wrong, and I do really like him. But against them, all them players there, it's really tricky to sort of rank them. That's going to need a bit more time, I think, from me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, for me, if he continues in his current way he's growing as a player, and like we spoke to Donskoy and how he said that Rublev eats, sleep, breathe everything, and you just see how passionate. You see him after the Hamburg win as well. He was ran on the court like screaming, like yes, finally won this tournament, and what a win it was. He came back to win it. So I think he just shows all of the right qualities, and he has a very good mental. So I think if he can just maintain more consistency, if he just gets that in his game, he's going to be hard to beat. I think he just needs to up his level a little bit.
I think tactically he needs to change as well. He can't always try and hit through players. We saw it against Medvedev. You're not always going to be able to do that. You need to mix up your game. I think he could learn a lot from Medvedev, Rublev. Probably not on clay. But Medvedev's not the best on clay, but in general about his whole game, I think Rublev could learn a lot from his fellow friend Medvedev and countryman. But if I was to rank them, what I would do is Sinner at the bottom and Rublev at the top. But I'm not sure about the others.
I mean, before we'd seen this recent run of events, I'd probably have Tsitsipas at the top. But the recent, I don't know if his mind is going to be as good from now on. I don't know. For me, he would be maybe close to the bottom now, and that's sad to say because I really love his game and I love.
It changes so quickly. That's the thing. We're probably, if we do a podcast next month, we'll probably put Tsitsipas at the top. That's what I'm saying. It's really tricky to sort of say.
The way I would put it, though, I would say potential. I would go, if I had to go off the top of my head, I'd go Rublev, Chapeau. I'm always such a negative Zverev person. He's always low. He's always the bottom of my one. I don't know why. I would probably go Rublev, Chapeau, Tsitsipas, Sinner, Zverev. I don't know. Zverev, I just can't ever get on board the Zverev train. He just doesn't do anything for me. I just feel like he doesn't.
I think that's harsh. That's harsh.
It is.
He's
harsh,
the finalist, man, of a slam.
Yeah, but he's finalist from beating who though?
Mate, come on, you've got to win the games in front of you. And
yeah, you do.
Zverev is a top player. He could surprise a lot of us in this French Open.
I hope he does. I just want to see from him as well more consistency.
A good judge, is other fellow players and what they think about different players on the tour. And if you look at what Rafa, Federer, and Djokovic all said about Alex Zverev, then you'll be stupid not to rate him and not put him up highly because they all think the world of him. They think he's going to be a guy to win many slams. Whether they're just saying that or not, that's another question. But I generally do believe like they've not been so vocal about other players as what they have with Zverev. Maybe because he's like the first to come through. I'm not so sure. But
I think that's the good point you make because he was really this one who sort of broke on the scene and you just thought, wow, this kid's literally going to take over from the big three now. And that was what we thought. And he hasn't done much. And then he sort of fell off and the big three had just taken over again. He looked like he was about in the pole position just to do it. And then it seemed like the big three raised their level again. He never just went with it. He just stuck there still. And if not, other people overtook him as well.
Yeah.
So I think if he I don't know what it is. Maybe he's just young. Maybe he's just like enjoying life too much. And maybe he should focus a little bit more on the tennis and actually, not the lifestyle. Because if you want to be one of those top three, like the big three, the lifestyle becomes second every time. You don't see any of those guys partying or doing all these type of things. Well, other than Djokovic, but that was a bit of a one-off, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next part of the video. And the question we've posed really is, has moving the French Open been a bit of a disaster? Obviously, we're looking at the weather. We've got new balls now. They're heavier. A lot of players have hit out and said they're terrible, the new balls. They hate in the conditions. You've seen Wawrinka come out like she's in the Arctic to play. You've seen Dan Evans, after his loss, come out and say he wouldn't even give the balls to his dog to chew. So, it's hard for us to sort of comment because we're not playing the game of tennis. We're not professional athletes. So we don't really know what it's like to play a normal Roland Garros on this. We're only going off the science and what they're telling us, really. And that is that the courts are particularly slow.
Very, yeah. I mean, that's the general consensus amongst all the players, and I think
And the
that
balls are very heavy, right?
yeah, and you're
The
seeing
new Wilson balls they're using, and I don't know. I've watched it. I've watched a lot of the French Open. I'm trying to like look out for these things, and one thing I can say is it's just not been that good. I've not really enjoyed it that much. I think the playing. I don't know. I was really up for it before it started, but I don't know. The French Open in September, man, it's not the same. It's just not. It's like a different tournament altogether.
I agree.
No fans there. It's just a bit dead. It really is dead. Like I've not watched any match and thought this is particularly brilliant. I've seen some like Schwartzman say he's someone who thrives in these conditions. The way he plays, so for him, it's brilliantly exciting. Other players, look at Dan Evans and stuff against Nishikori, and it was a good match and all, but I just don't know. It's not really. It's hard to compare it against anything else because it doesn't feel like a Roland Garros to me.
No, I totally
How
agree.
You're playing it in September. It's so cold. It's like 8 degrees. I've seen. And
yeah, they're saying that their players are free. They're getting soaked through, and then there's cold winds.
You've got the rain as well. You've got it's slippery.
Well, and then in changeovers, they said that they're frozen. They're literally soaked through whatever tops they're wearing. Or
Wawrinka walked off, didn't she? She went back to the locker room.
I'm not surprised because who wants to sit there for a few minutes freezing and in wet clothes? Who wants to do that? It's just ridiculous. This is not what the French Open's about. The French Open's about nice hot weather.
It has been killed a little bit. Like it's just not the spectacle I've always grew up to love. And hopefully it gets better as it goes on. But you can't change the weather. It's something you can't really have much control over.
The one thing it does,
they do have control over the balls. I'm not sure why they changed them.
I don't know. But the one thing this does do again, and it's just going to be a year of this. It throws everything up in the air and you just don't know who's going to win. And then this is what it opens up the doors for a Schwartzman.
Yeah, massively.
Does it open up the door for a Sinner? Does it open up the door for some like new person to maybe come through and try and grab a slam again? Because the asterisks are being thrown around everywhere this year. I mean, the
thing with Djokovic, though, he's so good on any surface. He could play on my patio outside and beat anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's someone, he could play on a bit of decking and win. Yeah, but he is another level on all surfaces. And he is probably the best. Well, he's not probably. He is, in my opinion, the best player across all the surfaces.
He is, for sure.
So, for him, this would suit him in a way, right? He's probably someone who can adapt. He'll play his game.
We will see, but I think
Dominic Thiem. We'll see what happens now. I'm not sure how he's doing now with Cilic. I don't know if any of you guys want to fill us in with that one. But before we talk about that, Rafael Nadal, he's hit out and started complaining about the conditions, saying how terrible it is for him. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Like you say, it will certainly be a lot more open. But then will it just be a bit of an asterisk Grand Slam?
Well, this is it again. I just don't know what to make of it all. It's a little bit of a shame because we got tennis back and we just got it back at a high standard, and we saw some great tennis in the US Open, and they still had obviously nice weather there. This one, it's just bizarre. This tournament now, I don't really know it's just so odd to see the French Open with rain constant, and it's predicted rain all the way up until the women's final. That's every day, 90% chance of rain, 80% chance of rain every day. Yeah. So whoever picked this tournament dates, they're probably sat at home.
Mate, it's just money, isn't it? It's just all money, isn't it? French Open decided we'll put it there. There's a good chance we'll be able to play a tournament then. They don't care about what the conditions are going to be like. Do they even care about the quality of tennis to a level? I'm sure they would for sponsors and stuff. But aside from that, as long as they're getting paid, doesn't really matter too much. Geraldine there in the comments has said team's up 2 sets to love. So
apparently, and I just checked, and then that break that I think he was down a break in, was it the third set or the second? But his team's 1 game away from the match now. He's 5-2 up in the third. And
thanks for that, Geraldine.
Cilic just serving to stay in it now.
Yeah.
And I thought it was quite well. Just to touch back on the conditions and all of this time and adapting to it, I think this is going to favour the big hitters, and I think we could see something maybe special from Andrei Rublev, maybe, because he's coming. I don't want to jinx him. I know that he's just won a tournament, which is always a bad omen for going into another tournament, but he looks proper pumped up, and I'm quite excited to see what his first match is like coming into the French. And if he continues that form, he could be one to watch as well, because Rublev, his time's going to come at some point, and you know that he's going to grab a slam at some point. Why not now?
For sure, yeah, I can see it happening. I know John's in the comments. He's quite a big fan of Rublev and he fancies him. And he just kind of echoed our point there, saying that the Hamburg quality was a lot better so far than the French. It's early, but it's early doors, so we'll see what happens there. I don't know if you want to go through some of the results, Ben.
Yeah, I've got him up if you want to go. I've just seen that Tennis Ace has said team is wearing a sweater and a turtleneck on court.
Oh god!
What a sight for sore eyes that would be. Yeah, I mean, if you pull up the results from day one, this one we were so disappointed.
Oh, the Roos, man, he's not done it, has he? Bonzi.
What was happening there? Like, I mean, must be the court. So what else can you blame? About Bonzi, we know he's good, but we didn't think he was good enough to beat Rusevori. But the Benjamin Bonzi through to. Do
you not think it will favour I don't want to say worse players? It's a bit harsh, isn't it? But not the best, not as good. Basically, the underdogs. Do you reckon a lot of underdogs could be seeing winning matches based off the fact that they're used to probably playing on ITFs and challengers. Well, probably not many ITF players, but they've played a lot of challenger events where the conditions have not quite been the top of what, say, an ATP 500.
No fans as well.
Yeah. It's like a Bonzi, probably. He was in his element, mate. He's played a lot of ITFs and challengers. Probably suited him down to the ground.
As well, don't forget, and never go against the home faithful.
Yeah. But I don't think that's true because Rusevori is in a similar boat, really. I just think Roos had a bit of an off day there.
Looks like it, doesn't it? It's just sad to see after he did so well in recent tournaments. But
going down there, talking about off days, Goffin, what has happened to him, mate? He's not really the same player, is he, since he's come back? We know how good he can be. He's just not been very, I don't know, he's been terrible, to be honest. I don't want to be too harsh on him, but he's not looked up for it. I was watching the third set of it and he was just kind of just going through the motions. He accepted defeat, wasn't showing much fight. At the end of the day, this is a Grand Slam. You'd expect a little bit more passion and desire from him.
Yeah. I just one thing that I was thinking before when they brought out the draw, and I just thought that was a terrible draw for Goffin. I thought he's not been playing well really anyway. Sinner's been playing pretty well coming into this tournament. Yeah. Just saw that as being an easy win for Sinner off the bat. And it just proved right. It's too easy, if anything, and Goffin needs to go and look in the mirror and work out what's going wrong. Don't know what's happening. Quite an epic match in that next one. Taylor Fritz squeezed through against a young Czech player I'm quite keen on, which is Tomas Makak. And I was surprised to see Fritz. He would look like he was just going to clear up 3-6-love, and then suddenly two dodgy sets there, 6-1, 6-2, and then just pulled it through in the fifth.
Yeah.
And let's get down to the one that we were speaking about before, and Evans. Oh, God. Don't think any of us really saw that coming, really. I thought it would be a close match, but I thought Evans...
Well, did you fancy Evans as well?
I thought it'd be a close match, but I thought Evans...
Well, it was, wasn't it? It went to a fifth set. What more do you want?
I thought Evans would edge it, though. I didn't think Nishikori is back to his best at all.
He was playing quite good, Nishikori. He attacked Evans' second serves at crucial moments. I was watching from the third set onwards, actually. And that fourth set was a bit of a shot from Dan Evans. That wasn't really with the run of the game. It was a bit unexpected in terms of Nishikori looked a little bit on top at that stage. Obviously, winning the second set 6-1 as well. Yeah. And then that fifth set was a bit bizarre as well. Nishikori come up the traps quick, 3-0 up. And Evans pulled it back to 3-all. And then it was very tight. But then, just Evans, when he was trying to hold his serve to stay in the match, couldn't do it. And it was a relatively close match. But I think Nishikori deserved to win, if I'm being entirely honest. As much as I wanted Evans to do well, he just didn't really. And Nishikori was a little bit better than him.
I think Clay's thing, though, to be honest.
No. He was complaining about the balls. He was obviously saying about how he wouldn't even give them to his dog. So he was not too pleased. Maybe that's because he lost, though. Have you noticed with the people complaining so far are the ones who've lost?
Yeah, exactly.
You've not seen anyone. Actually, no, to be fair, you have. You've seen Azarenka. She's creamed it already, and she's come out and complained about it. So fair play to her.
Well, that's no surprise, is it? I mean, she's just been in the form of her life.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, if we take another quick look down, that guy again playing so well on clay. Courier, he's through.
It looked tight though, didn't it? God,
Yeah.
2 tie breaks in the 7-5, but he got the job done in 3.
Yeah, and then another great. Well, this one I was.
Yeah, this was incredible. This is an incredible match. Yeah,
yeah, Rodionov, and we know that. Well,
it's a proper classic.
Another youngster who doesn't get spoken about enough, really, from Austria, and he's really good on the challenger scene, but taking out a pretty big player there, Chardy, in the first round, and 10-8 in the 5th. What a crazy match! I didn't get a chance to watch
Chardy. I saw a bit of it. Chardy should have done better, to be honest. He should have closed it out in the 3rd set. To allow that to go to a 4th set was just criminal from him. And fair play to Rodionov. Like, he's played a lot of tennis of late. The more informed guy in terms of a lot of consistency with different matches, and Chardy's not really had that. So I was really happy for him as well. Like, he's super emotional. This is his first slam. So fair play to the guy, and he's taken the opportunity with both hands. I don't know if you're going to go down there. We've got a bit of love for Cecchinato there in the chat.
Yeah.
Geraldine was asking, do you think
Cecchinato
Cecchinato is going to go deep in this tournament? The conditions perfect for him, and he played a great match against the Demon.
Yeah, and bageled him there as well. But this is I didn't think he'd lose in straight sets, Dimano. I know his clay's not really his forte, but yeah, great performance by Cecchinato, and he was looking really good. And I would actually think that he could potentially, depending on his draw, which I'll have to bring up the draw to see exactly who he'd be playing in the next round. I'll just have a quick look on this.
Yeah.
Bring this back.
Yeah, we're going to have to be quite quick because I've got to go back to work in about 5 minutes probably. So
no worries.
That's what I'm saying. Best to get through some of them.
Yeah, so they started at the bottom half of the draw, didn't they? And so he'll be playing Londero in the next round, who obviously came through in what was probably the most epic match of the first round, 14-12 in the 5th. And that was one I
didn't even see that. I didn't see it went that close.
Yeah, and I thought that Londero was going to win this match, but then once he lost that 3rd and 4th in such crazy fashion, it looked like he was done. And then he battled back, and he just showed that extra bit of fight that you need to just get it over the line. And that's what I think. Londero, is a very good player, but I could see Cecchinato beating him in the next round. After that epic long match, might be a bit tired. Cecchinato could move on, but he could find himself up against a potential Alex Zverev in the next round, which wouldn't want to be playing him, to be honest. He's not been the best, or not been the worst form of his career. He's been to a final.
Yeah.
As we know. So,
just to skim through some of these informed guys, obviously we had Quetfer up there. He managed to get it done. I think he just got there he is. Quetfer. Gombos, bit of an upset there, which I predicted that one. I thought Gombos would beat him. Maybe because I just don't like Borna Coric much. But
and this one as well, we sort of skimmed over. This one was one I predicted. Travaglia taking out Andujar, which Andujar's just not come back to form yet, really.
Yeah, then we've got Benoit Paire down there. He's done well, managed to win. Didn't expect that.
He's finally won.
Yeah, well done. That's good for him. I didn't expect it at all. I was just not sure what Paire to expect, but Paire turned up.
And your mate
Schwartzman down there beat Kecmanovic and easy for him.
Relatively, it's just like a breeze.
Yeah, just a breeze, like different level. And Kecmanovic is someone who's a top player as well on clay, young player. But Schwartzman just knocked him off the court, really. Good win there for Zverev as well.
Was Kecmanovic playing with a blindfold on or something? What was going on in this match?
No, it's just a Schwartzman effect, man. But let's get on to the big match, and then we'll probably have to wrap it up. No, I'm not talking about Albot. I don't know how he's done that. Thompson can't play on clay, that's why.
Yeah, the great result. It's your mate. The big... Which big match? The Wawrinka
Murray-Wawrinka, that's the big one. Obviously, we was going to do a title and do a big, a half an hour segment on Andy Murray, but we've run out of time now. But we'll talk about it more on the next one. But a lot of people have been calling for, I think Mats Wilander's come out and said that he doesn't feel that Andy Murray should have returned back to tennis. He should have known his time was up and sort of given these lucky loser spots, or not lucky, wild card spots to more hungrier, younger players. It's very controversial. A lot of people have come out and disagreed with him. Notably, Nick Kyrgios has come out and slammed Wills Wilander for even saying that, saying Andy Murray can do what he wants. And I do agree with that to a level. Of course, he can do what he wants, and I still think Andy Murray can play at a very good level to compete in matches. But is competing enough? Because we've seen with Wawrinka, people saying, "Oh, could Andy Murray beat him?" We both said we didn't really give him much chance, and it's just a bit sad because we know how good Andy Murray was, and he's never really going to get back to that, it seems. So it's just like tricky judging him off what he previously was. If he was like someone who's never achieved anything and he's playing at this level, no one would bat an eyelid. But it's not like that, is it?
Do you want to see him enter like the sort of Leighton Hewitt bracket where you're just playing and going out in the first round of slams for the next 5 years? I mean, is that a good way to end?
Leighton Hewitt wasn't too bad in his last few years.
Got to a couple of second, third round.
I saw him at Wimbledon. He's an amazing tournament.
Yeah, he's still an amazing. And people would get.
He was still flying around the court. With Andy Murray, it's different. He's not flying around the court because he just looks like I don't know. He just looks handicapped. Like, I don't want to be too harsh on him. He doesn't look the same man, does it?
Robotic a little bit.
Yeah.
He's obviously take so long with those injuries, and will he just the years like caught up on him once he finally does like get over the injury completely, and it's just very sad to see. And just all you can do is just hope that he comes back after this tournament. He just said they think it's the worst defeat he's ever had at a Grand Slam, and he's just going to have to go back, review it, and just speak to his team and just work out what went wrong. Because Stan Wawrinka is just a horrible draw for anybody in the French Open, and he couldn't have asked for a worse draw pretty much in that match, other than someone like Rafa or someone like that in the first match. But Stan Wawrinka, he obviously lost to Musetti, and he got bageled by Musetti. But apparently, he had sacked his coach like the day of that match, or he'd just got rid of his coach. And there was people were starting to think that there's some frailties in his game. I don't think so. I think he just had an off day there, and I think he is back. And I think you want to watch out for him in this tournament, because these slow courts, it proved in this match. You have a long rally, he's more likely to come out the victor because he's got a big shot at the end of it somewhere. Somewhere in that rally, he's going to be able to finish it. And Murray was, struggling to compete with the power.
It's just a different level, mate. And Tennis Ace sums it up quite nicely, actually. It's a tough match for Murray to return. He should start smaller, perhaps get some wins. And I think maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea for him to move down to the Challengers. I know it sounds stupid, but I think at least to get a bit of a consistent run together. I don't particularly think he'll be winning all the matches even there. I hate to say it, because it's not because Andy Murray is not good enough. It's just because he's been hampered with so many injuries, and he just doesn't seem to be moving as freely around the court as what other players are able to. And that's just the hard truth.
He did it before, and he came back to Challengers last year, and then he got to the final and lost to Matteo Viola in one of the finals. But then after that, he played another Challenger, or he went straight into the Antwerp and won Antwerp.
Yeah, he won Antwerp, beating Stan in the final, didn't he? So I think it's a good idea for him to maybe drop down, refine some form, and then move back up again. I don't want all these calls for Andy Murray to retire. I think it's a bit harsh. Give the man a break, mate. He's been through a lot. And I think the sport's a better place when Andy Murray's playing. But I don't know how much longer he can go on playing like this. That's all I'm saying. Like something's going to have to give here or there.
Yeah, I agree. I know that we're probably running out of time. Just want to say thanks for everyone who's joined us on this live stream. It's a little bit makeshift just because I've had to come into the office to do it. But thanks to everybody who has. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you haven't liked this video, please hit the like button. It really helps us out. And just keep on coming back each day, because we're going to be giving you hopefully some daily podcasts. So for the French Open, and hopefully we get some better tennis coming.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. Talk about the women's side on the next one. Tomorrow we'll fill out with more men's. Hopefully we'll do a bit longer if I can start a bit earlier. But yeah, thanks to everyone joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Peace.